stacks on her mind, grinding all day, hustle refined, chatter is ceiling, G's fierce and untamed. Boss is her title, wealth is her game, power in heels or sneakers on deck. Respect comes easy when you earn that check. From boardroom to businesses, she's got finesse. This woman right here, built for success. She's a bad bitch, and she signs checks. Built her own throne, what you expect? Dreaming real big, no limit, no stress. She's a bad bitch, and she signs. Some of them riding, where all the good ones, how do we find them? What is it for? Who we like, who we ignore? You don't make friends, you recognize them, yeah. Well, he is a wild thing. He's down to earth, yeah. He's on my way.
And you are vibing. I see you vibing over there, Hilda.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, this artist is fire. Welcome to the High Earning Women podcast for female business owners and professionals. Our mission is to make financial conversations accessible so high earning women can feel confident about their finances and live the life they want. You know, right now we were listening to the sounds of Hiatus Coyote, and the song is Make Friends, which is what every woman needs to do actually when it comes to making to their money. And I want you to ask yourself, what type of relationship do you currently have with your money? Is she a friend, or is she a missing in action foe is probably the other thing to ask. How you actually think about your money may be impacting how money treats you in the end. So make friends, as this inspirational song says so beautifully. Now, today, we are speaking to a business owner on how they can make friends with the cash flow they generate from their business. So if you're a business owner, you're not going to want to miss this. We've got Hilda Gan, founder and chief people officer of People Bright Consulting, who joins us to discuss the financial lessons learned as a business owner. So, you know, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, understanding your finances is crucial for your business success and, of course, your personal financial well-being. So I know as a female business owner myself, you really wear many hats in the business. You're not just the visionary and the leader, you're also responsible for the financial health of your business. Again, financial literacy is vital because it allows you to make informed decisions, manage cash flow effectively, and ultimately grow your business sustainably. So I want to get right into it. Hilda, welcome to the podcast. So happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Jackie. Really enjoy your podcast and looking forward to having a conversation about it today with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's get into it. We have no time to waste. So much to cover with you today about money, people, finances. Hilda, tell me something. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about cash flow and just even understanding your own business cycle?
Well, my husband and I had a company that grew to 125 people. So payroll was a big issue.
Ouch.
Yeah, like $250,000 every 2 weeks. Like, it doesn't get any worse than that, right? And thinking about cash flow. And I think one of the things that I learned early, of course, is cash flow is king, and really getting those clients to pay you, because we were in a consulting business and they don't pay fast. Like, we're not talking buying lemonade, buying lemons, then making lemonade and selling it and then putting it in the bank. We are talking about lead times. I had one client that I said, do you mind paying this invoice before you pay these invoices? This invoice was 1,000 days old.
Oh my God.
And these invoices, they were paying out of sync. They were paying invoices that were 6 months old, 2 weeks old. And he'd look at it and he'd say, oh, ha, 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 and which meant no. And I think, you are ruining my DSOs. You are just ruining my days sales outstanding statistics. So I've learned that you have to have a relationship with your clients so that you can get paid on a timely basis, and people who have sloppy bookkeeping can pay you properly. The other thing I want to share as a tip is that for those of us who are business owners, this time of year, it's really important to think about your cash flow, because everybody goes on holidays middle of December. If you have not received any money, you're likely not going to receive any money till January, the middle of. Think about it, because people are off. They're not going to.
Right.
And then if you're like me, you have to keep paying your staff every 2 weeks.
250,000. Yeah, I got that. That's a lot.
So we had to make sure we had good cash flow, or our bank was, our loan was in such a state that we could dip into it. So this is one lesson learned, is think about your company's business cycle. When is the money really flowing? When is it not flowing? So that you need to make sure that you've got backups for those ebbs and flows. And so I got really smart after the first year cycle, and I would share that with my clients. I say, one thing you might want to think about is this holiday season cycle, and the fact that if you're paying stuff on a regular basis, you got to make sure you got to have money for it. And you're not even going to bill your clients for December to the 3 weeks of billing will just be like shrinking to nothing. So again, it's always important to think about business cycle, cash flow cycle, sales cycle.
So let's dig into that a little bit more, because I think business owners, women business owners listening to this, one of the challenges I see is when you talk about relationship. Let's just dig into that relationship a bit more, because I think asking, if you have a invoice that's 1,000 days old, how do you ask for that money? And, sometimes being nice isn't nice for you. It's certainly not nice for your cash flow. So how do you ask? How do you, get over that? Okay, this has been 1,000 days. We need the cash in. How do we get proactive about making sure the cash is running when okay, these invoices are all due? What are some practical tips we can offer?
I think you have to create relationships, but in larger corporations, which this one was, right? It was hard to create a relationship with the payors versus the managers that you were working with. In a smaller business, and let's assume a lot of people that are listening to you might be smaller business,
right?
Develop that relationship and help them through hard times and good times so that they'll remember you. I've got this one client right now, and it's a bit hard times. And they say, look, my cash flow is okay. If you just need a little bit more time, that's fine. You pay the other vendors first and pay me. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that to everybody, but I'm creating goodwill, right? I'm creating a relationship so that when times are tough, they'll remember me too, right? So always just keep the lines of communication open and create the relationship. In a smaller business, the people paying are the people who are paying, and the people who are in the business are close together. In a larger corporation, there's so many layers and they don't even talk to each other.
Sure.
But you can, if you have a good relationship with the manager, that you can say, hey, can you kind of just poke the bear down there and see if you can, say, hey, my client needs to be paid. Can you pay them with the next run? And that's often what will happen.
Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing is you really need to know the client, make sure you have the kind of relationship. And what about boundaries, like setting clear expectations around payment?
When they tend to be tardy, then you need to say things like, yep, and then set boundaries and say, okay, I won't I need to get paid before I do this. And we had managers who they finish the project, right? And then they would give the client the report. And meanwhile, we never get paid.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
Especially for those late, tardy people, you say, the report is done. I know you want it, and then you can use good cop, bad cop mentality. I can't release this report until you actually give me a check in hand. So that's my orders. I'd be happy to give it to you, but that's what I've been told, right? So you can play good cop, bad cop in those scenarios, but definitely set boundaries, because if you don't set boundaries, then you can have this runaway 3-year-old invoice that we got.
Yeah.
Right? But that was the early days of our company. And this bad bookkeeping joke was they kept it going for quite a while, just as a joke.
Wow. Well, what I'm hearing from that is you need a really strong bookkeeper to make sure you're on top of payables and receivables, and then them nagging you about money not coming in. So you can say, hey, listen, being good cop, bad cop, my bookkeeper is saying we're still behind on this invoice. Leverage future projects. We want to get started in this other project, but this needs to be paid. The bookkeeper is expecting it by whatever date. But those deadlines and those boundaries are clearly important.
And good business people will stay on top of their money, and they'll say, I'm sorry, I can't continue to work without being paid.
Right.
And I need to have a sign that says you will continue to pay me.
Amazing. I think that's really important advice. So confidant community, are you listening? We need to, as business owners, as female business owners, recognize that's money that's owed to us. That's money we deserve, and we need to ask for it, and we need to set good boundaries, and we need to get good bookkeepers to keep us on top of these things. So thank you for that, Hilda. Now let's turn our thoughts.
Can I just make one more comment? One thing I've learned by some of my clients recently is that they do not like confrontation.
That's why I mention it.
Put their head in the sand and let it go, and then suffer. But one of the things I highly encourage is people to flex your muscles, get comfortable in those difficult, awkward conversations. Your conversation with your client shouldn't just be about the business of the work that you're doing. It needs to incorporate the financial aspects, and don't wear two hats. Have that conversation as you say, the project, it's going well. Just a reminder, the invoice is outstanding. Can you give me an idea when you expect that? When can I expect the payment? It's just part of the story. It's not like, oh, well, we can't talk about that separate to this conversation. No, teach them early that this is part of the conversation. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about the projects. We're going to talk about whatever. Taylor Swift. We're going to cover everything.
Yeah. And, it's about teaching them to respect your value, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I have a really dear friend who always says, you teach people how to treat you. So keep that financial lesson in mind. What are we showing them to value? So now, actually, let's turn our thoughts to hiring, which is your specialty as well. And this is another very challenging area I see for business owners. Sometimes hiring can feel like a real catch-22, Hilda. I think the struggle I hear on the street, and I've certainly been there myself, are employees an investment? Or are they an expense at the end of the day?
Employees are not a commodity. When you treat them as a commodity, then you get what you pay for. You get a commodity, and in your intonation, you're implying that you're just a commodity. I can get rid of you. Well, if you treat me like you want to get rid of me, then I'll get the message. I'll leave. When you treat somebody like you care for them, that you want them to be part of your company, then they'll want to stay. 68% of people are more likely to stay when they feel valued. All you need is this little sign that says, I appreciate you. And that makes a difference. So getting back to hiring, you should have a clear understanding of what your values and your beliefs and your vision is for your company. And based on that, you should hire people that align with your values, your mission, and your business. There's no point in hiring somebody whose values are the antithesis of yours, because within 6 months they're gone. Because people cannot live in a world where the values are different. So if you have a person who's got high integrity, they're hired by you, but they realize that you're kind of a gray kind of person, and you cut corners, the quality isn't there. They can't live with that, so they're going to leave. The other thing that I always tell people who are learning how to hire is trust your gut. You don't necessarily know how to hire people because you haven't had enough experience. And then you say, geez, I don't know if that person's a team player or if their values align with us. And, 6 months down the line, you say, yeah, their values don't align with us. Sometimes you're so desperate to hire somebody, you hire a person that doesn't fit. I know you. You hire a person that doesn't fit, and they're not happy. You're not happy. Within 6 months, it's done. Statistics will show that people who start a company, and they know within 2 weeks whether they've made the right decision.
That's what I was going to say. I don't always know, Hilda, in that interview, because you look at somebody's resume, they are really good actors or actresses in terms of portraying what they think you want, and some are better than others. And so I'm like, the skills look great, they sound great, but 2 weeks in, I'm like, they're not great. Right?
And they feel the same way, right? They think, So they promised me I would get a promotion. I'm going to, foster your growth. And within 2 weeks, they kind of thought, this guy's that hasn't even talked to me. They haven't even given me a proper orientation. Nobody's gone out for lunch with me, right? If you're in an office set, they can tell right away that was just a bunch of BS and you were sugarcoating and promising, but you're not a person that's going to deliver, right? They can tell that. So it's important that you create a relationship with a person and that those values align. And how many of you say, I wish I had more people like me? If I had 5 more of me, I could make so much money.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
We do.
So, yeah. Like I'm sure everybody's saying, I need 3 more people just like me, hardworking.
Right.
When you hire the right people and you treat them as an equal, as a valued person, and you're nurturing them. Remember I said 68% people will stay when they feel valued. They're going to want to stay. That results in them being more productive, more caring. They almost feel like they are a mini you, that they own part of the company, that they're invested in the company. So it pays to not treat people like a commodity, but to treat them almost as a partner, even though they're not a partner. Because when they feel a sense of belonging, they'll do more. They'll be more engaged. They'll be more productive. You're going to increase your profits. So companies who just look at the bottom line profit and skim on the employees, they're going to have high turnover and they're going to spend money. And some people will spend money to fix something. Person leaves, I replace them. But some people, if you spend money on prevention, on development, like training your staff, treating them nice, doesn't cost a lot of money. That has a big ROI in terms of engagement, in terms of low turnover. If you don't have to turn over people, you're saving money.
Well, you say that, and I just think, going back to are they an investment or expense? It sounds like if you treat them like an expense, then they're going to just be an expense to your bottom line. But if you make those investments in them, then it's almost like making an investment in an investment, right? It's a long-term prospect. And the more you make an investment and you think about this person as a long-term in your life, in your business, then you're going to get more return on that investment and build your profits, which is really what every business owner wants to do. Having said that, if you're someone who you hire and you recognize, because I've been there too, Confidant community. I hire someone, I had all these hopes and dreams for them. They presented well in the interview, but in my gut, 2 weeks in, I know they're not the right person. Get rid of them quickly. Fire quickly. Fire quickly. If you know.
Hire slow, fire quick. And that's what Kevin, what's his name, said. Kevin O'Leary. So here's an interesting experience tip for everybody. When we were first hiring people, we say, we don't want to hire them. What if they're here for only 2 years? They're gone. And oftentimes the stars, people who are motivated to get things done, you think, they're going to come, they're going to get whatever they can out of you, and then they're leaving, right? So where's the investment in that? I would rather hire somebody who's, maybe not quite the star, but they're a steady performer. They'll get things done. So here is my tip.
We're listening, Hilda.
You need both. You need a stars and you need the steady people.
Okay.
The steady people will be there for a while. They'll get the things done, but they'll get the things done not necessarily in the sort of creative thinking way, moving the bar. They'll just get the things done. I mean, stereotyping, but that's some people that are what we call your steady performers.
Well, you say steady performers. I think the bond in your stock portfolio. So that's like the bond people.
Yeah.
The steady eddies, they're there. They're continuing to push things forward is what I'm hearing. And then you've got those stars who are like the people who drive capital.
The volatile portfolio.
The part of the volatile. I really want people to think about this.
Versus the bonds and the guaranteed yield.
Yes.
You get the guaranteed yield, okay? If they work out, you get the guaranteed yield. There's never guarantee. But if you hired that slightly volatile, okay, not too volatile.
Not a penny stock.
A little bit more risk. I can speak your language. Okay. If you hire those, and I call them stars, and you think, oh God, they're only going to stay for 1 or 2 years. But oftentimes those stars, they are engaged. They are productive. They're not stagnant. They'll say, we need to have a United Way campaign at our company. I'll help do it. The steady performer would say, I'll bring the tea, they'll participate, but the stars may be the leaders making it happen.
Yeah, they're driving results in your business.
5 years later, you have this United Way campaign that is drawing staff to the company. They're excited about them. If you hadn't had that star to initiate that, it might have been another 5 years before you started the program. So if they come, they spend 2 years, but during those 2 years, they have been productive. They have created things that you don't have time to do.
Business assets, right?
They have left a legacy of what they have done to help continue to move the performance, the branding, the results, profits of your company.
Yeah. It could be like a star salesperson, right?
And that's the same thing. When we first started, we would hire, you can't afford that much money. You can't afford $150,000 for a seasoned salesperson, which could be more. But you could afford somebody who's just been a junior salesperson who wants to aspire to be a senior salesperson. So you offer them only $100,000 because they're learning.
Right.
Well, guess what? They're learning for a year, and you still haven't got the high yield. If you paid the $150,000 for the seasoned veteran, then you'd be getting maybe, $2 million in sales. Meanwhile, the $100,000 person a year later, $20,000 in sales.
That's it. Again, return on your investment, right?
Exactly.
Going back to return on your investment.
Little tidbits. I want people to realize that sometimes you need to spend money because the return on investment is a hell of a lot better than just to sit back and hold that money tight.
Well, you say that, and all my mind is thinking is, are you getting a bond-like return from that person you're hiring, or equity-like return? Yeah. The stars and the steadies are kind of like bond and equity-like returns.
Yeah. And you need a bit of both. You need a bit of both. But I think oftentimes as business owners that are starting out, you're a little bit reluctant to take the higher risk for the higher yield because you're not experienced enough. And that's where a coach comes in, right? Like a financial planner.
Because I'm hearing from this, like a lot of business owners, as we talk about coach, I'm thinking about mindset, right? And do we have that mindset of growth in our business, or are we kind of like the conservative investor? You know, when you're a business owner, you're truly an investor. So even if it's a balanced investor, you need to understand the kind of investor you are and what your business needs. So let's talk a little bit about mindset, because clearly hiring the right people can either, as you said, help us multiply the results and scale, or, grow at a slower pace. So it just kind of depends on what people want. They just need to understand the kind of investment they're making. So let's talk about mindset now with regard to how to potentially elevate your mindset with a business coach. So let's talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on hiring a business coach to help elevate that mindset that you might need to drive your business ahead.
I think it's a good investment to hire somebody who can give you liquid courage to make the tough decisions. I actually was at a lunch and learn where I was presenting, and one of my 5 key things to build communication confidence, one was shift your mindset. Yeah. Be positive. And then I said, how many people, think about imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
And this is my message on imposter syndrome. Have the courage to make decisions. Do not think of yourself as being an imposter, but think of yourself as being courageous. You have the courage to go out there and do something that is out of your element. But does that mean you're an imposter? No. What you're doing, and my analogy is, think of a baby, a toddler, learning how to walk for the first time. And he walks, or she walks 3 or 5 steps and falls. Right. Giggles probably, or wonder what the hell happened there. And then do they stop? Well, that was not good. I'm going to try again. No, they they try it again, and now they get solid. They can walk 5 steps with courage at very slow pace. But are they satisfied? No. They get up and they start going a little faster, and then they fall and they giggle. And so the analogy is we keep getting up and trying the next new thing. We're not satisfied with just walking at this pace. We want to walk faster. And if it means we fall, we fall. But we'll keep until we get really good at that, and then we'll go. So when a client comes to you and says, hey, I want you to do this, or I want you to speak on the stage, you think, oh my God, who am I? I'm an imposter. No, you are courageous enough. You've taken these steps already. Take the next step, because that's who you've been. You've been that toddler gaining the confidence to run. And we all know how to walk and run, at some point in our lives. So that to me there is a myth, imposter syndrome. I want you to think you are courageous, and you are courageous enough to keep trying things that are not in your comfort zone.
I love that, Hilda. And I just want to add to that for a lot of business owners, like I always say to myself, one of the mantras I have is I don't have time to feel like an imposter. I'm too fully entrenched in my purpose. So purpose gives me the courage, or gives me the chutzpah, as I've heard. Chutzpah, to kind of rise above any fear I have.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's too big and it's too important. It's kind of going back to your why, your reason for being in business. What I'm doing is too important for me to be worried about how I might look. This is too important. I don't have time to be an imposter. I'm just going to live my purpose. And it drives me ahead when I get into my head, when I'm like, oh, why me? Why should I be doing this? And I think it's important, kind of going back to what, you were talking about, vision and mission. Get really, really clear on your vision and mission, and it'll help you overcome that, because then you have your purpose and you overcome that imposter. No, you're not. You're here for a reason, and you're living your purpose. So that's what I offer to that conversation. So Hilda, I really appreciate you talking about babies don't have time to worry about if they're doing the right thing. They're just like,
they don't have the experience of being wounded.
Yes, they just need to walk.
They just sit down.
I need to walk. I need to learn how to do this. So I'm just going to do it. I don't have time to worry about it, right? And then they enjoy it. Then they enjoy the ride. It's like I fall.
I just want to cheer everybody on. You are courageous. Stop thinking imposter syndrome. Please stop thinking. Be courageous.
If you're not there, Confidant community, hire that coach to help you get clear on your purpose, to help you rise above some of the stuff that's holding you back. Now that we've discussed some of the essentials, I want to talk about some resources we can offer, Hilda. And some of the books I had in mind for this podcast today. I'm going to talk about a few books I highly recommend women check out to build their business and build their cash flow. One is Profit First. I'm sure some of you might have heard of Mike Malkowitz. I'm probably ruining his name. Mike Malkowitz. The Lean Startup by Eric Rice is another book I'm going to offer you to check out. Women Who Launch by Marlene Wagman Geller is another great book to check out if you're trying to, get a little bit clearer on your finances and you're trying to do it much smarter without having to learn some of the lessons maybe you didn't know. Maybe you'll learn some of these from the book. Any other books you might recommend, Hilda?
I never remember names. I'm more of a read short articles and synthesize that and learn. And I'm what you call a when I get going, I research like crazy. So I will dive deep into more of the same kind of stuff. So I'm more of an articles person. Okay. And I also read books, but I read the synopsis of the books and dive in that way. So I don't really have any great recommendations.
No problem. We'll move on to online courses. So any courses you can offer, there's a really good one. Websites like Coursera or LinkedIn Learning offer quite a few courses on financial management for entrepreneurs. So I would look for ones focused on small business finances. Yeah. But I wondered if you had any courses on people and really helping to find the right people, those investments that you want to make. Any courses you have to offer there?
Well, I guess I'm going to share a course that a colleague of mine, Laurel Carr, and I are developing called Business Leadership Breakthrough.
Ooh, and that sounds juicy.
I know. I love the title. Business Leadership Breakthrough is really helping you find yourself. And when you're building a business, you got to know who you are, because you can't
Yeah.
create that know, like, and trust, that relationship, if you don't know what you're good at. And I share that you should find your passion, you should find your strengths. And when you do, then show them. Um, when you can do something that's instinctual, we all have a way of presenting ourselves. And when you do it instinctually, it's natural. And when it's natural, it exudes confidence. And when you have confidence, you create know, like, and trust. When you create know, like, and trust, people want to buy from you. They'll want to connect with you. And so it will help you with sales. It will help you with speaking engagements, whatever your thing is. So quickly, the business leadership breakthrough helps you understand your unique self.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
your
I was gonna say, we're gonna definitely post the details about the breakthrough, business leadership breakthrough course, because I think a lot of business owners would benefit from it. Now to move on to podcasts. I have a few podcasts to share, Confidant community. One is the Smart Passive Income podcast by Pat Flynn. She Means Business by Carrie Green. The Business of Life by Jennifer Hugh, of course, our own podcast, which is the High Earning Women podcast. So thanks for listening. Any podcasts that you're listening to these days you want to share, Hilda?
So I have my own, which I would love to share, because
Please.
my background of building a business and human resources, building strong, healthy work cultures, has created this person who has both the business operations side and the human resources expertise to help guide you. And what I do is, I'm in my 6th season of my podcast called Rev Up Your Business. And what we do is we invite people who are people centric to talk about how they've created their companies to be more people centric, and to take their area of expertise, whether it's marketing or finance or sales or mental wellness. And they talk about that aspect of business that helps you grow, and then talks about how you can be more people centric to retain and keep your top talent.
I love it. I love it. I've been on the podcast. So I'm just letting you know, Confidant community, I've really enjoyed the talk I had on the Rev Up Your Business podcast. So yeah, definitely check out that podcast as well. We'll definitely offer it in the show notes. And
Can I
then
mention your last visit?
Sorry, say that again.
Can I mention your last visit to my podcast show?
Feel free. Absolutely.
So Jackie's journey has been such where she had staff, but she was like the CEO, had to have everything together.
Right.
And that's the lone wolf mentality. And then when we're talking, suddenly the light bulb goes on that she has now shifted from a lone wolf mentality to a CEO mentality. So you'd probably find that very interesting podcast, how one releases that controlling feeling to really seeing, this is my team, this is my vision, and we're moving forward. And she's much happier for it.
100%. I'm lucky that, finding those right people, and my people, I call them my co-collaborators. I don't have employees. I have collaborators, but it's a journey. It's a journey taking on staff, growing staff. I'm on the journey. I'm going to probably be on this journey for the rest of my life as I work in this industry. So it never ends. And so then I'll go to the last area of our podcast today, which is around getting support and networking groups that might help you on that journey of, hiring and, understanding the CEO mentality and fortifying that mentality when sometimes it needs some support. So I have a couple to offer, based on being involved in these organizations myself. Grow Your Biz was an organization that I met lots of amazing women owners, and we're still sister friends that support each other and our businesses. The other is Women Presidents Association, an organization I'm currently involved with. And again, it's just a community to level up your business and get support, and sometimes just get some mental health support. And then any other organizations or networking groups you'd recommend as well, Hilda?
Yeah, I would endorse both of those. And there's Weeby. Weeby really helps women feel a sense of belonging to an organization. And they're out there trying to help you open doors to other companies and corporations, and some really good techniques as well as opportunities to help you open a door to a company that could be your ticket to the next level of growth.
Yeah, those are all great networking groups that I've, other than Weeby, that I've had the pleasure of being involved in personally. So I highly recommend checking out some of these groups yourself, getting involved. You can't do these things alone. In fact, as we wrap up our episode today, I really encourage you to take action. Start by assessing your current financial knowledge and determine where you need support. Reach out to us if you'd like to schedule a confidential 30-minute conversation just on how you can develop a healthier relationship with your money. We'll also be posting Hilda's contact information if you need support in managing the people side of your business, as we often do. And if you missed any of the live today, please feel free to check out our live summary where we share all the gems of today. All month, we've been sharing financial literacy lessons, and you won't want to miss our last live with an extremely successful business owner who scaled a 7-figure business. So check it out next week, our last live of the month. And of course, please feel free to share, like, and comment on our podcast if this resonates with you. And of course, remember to follow us and check out our YouTube and social media channels. See you next week, Confidant community. Thanks again for being here, Hilda.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
She wakes up with purpose, stacks on her mind, grinding all day, hustle refined, chatter is seething, she's fierce and untamed. Boss is her title, wealth is her game, power in heels or sneakers on deck. Respect comes easy when you earn that check. From boardroom to businesses, she's got finesse. This woman right here, built for success. She's a bad bitch and she signs checks, built her own throne. What you expect? Dreaming real big, no limit, no stress. She's a bad bitch and she signs checks.